you get it? Is it on?
Hello there. What's up, Aaron? Welcome to another episode of Taking Over the World with Ed and Aaron.
That was like very Mr. Rogers, like, well, hello, Aaron.
Well, yeah, I was going to put on my
hello,
sweater.
welcome to the neighborhood.
I was going to change my shoes into slippers and stuff. I was going to do a whole thing, but no.
Like, grand scheme of things, looking back, Mr. Rogers was, as the kids would say, sus.
No.
No? You think he was on the up and up?
Yeah, he was a good guy. He was like your friendly neighborhood.
Weirdo that lived by himself, saying, welcome to the neighborhood. In this day and age, he would be considered sus, as the kids would say.
I didn't think the thing is when you watched him and Captain Kangaroo and all these, it was a different, like, you didn't have that malice when you were watching shit. Now everybody's sus.
That you know what, like, I know you had a question, but like that is like the thing. We were talking about it this weekend. Just you can hear from the voice a lot of baseball field activity this weekend. And I was talking to one of the parents, and it was funny because we were talking about like kids always wanting to know where they're at. We were at a big complex, the Big League Dreams complex, and it's like, like there's a lot of places for them to go. You feel pretty safe, but you're still in the back of your mind. Okay, where are they? Has anybody seen them lately? And we were talking about like, man, back in the day, like I'm not saying it was safer, but I don't think these things were like top of mind of the scary people that were out there, because you were like, hey man, yep, go down to the park. Call us if you need us. We're on the house phone, or ride your bike home, or you drink a water, get the garden hose. It's like all those stereotypical things you see, like we did, and it's like, man, this day and age, I think we're just more aware of things, maybe, or
I think we're more paranoid of things.
That's fair.
Because we didn't think about that stuff. Like parents didn't think about, hey, where did Aaron go? Where was Ed? Like we never had, like we came home from school, we did what we had to do. A lot of times we didn't do what we had to do, and we just got on our bikes and went.
Yeah.
And nobody, like, when it got dark, we got home.
Yep.
Like, they didn't know where the hell we were all the time.
For sure.
So.
All right, what's the question? What do we got today?
I have one question before we start on what you left off last week on.
Okay.
One question. What do you think, you that went to a big university, because you did go to a pretty big brain. You went to ASU. You were part of the ASU world because you were in the fraternity and you
the Greek system.
Yep,
yeah.
you were in the whole
system. Yeah, yeah.
What do you think of this whole court storming thing?
It's just like what, like on a sporting event, like when they stormed the court.
Yeah. Well, first of all, because you were busy this weekend with baseball.
Yeah.
Did you see the guy with Duke get injured?
No.
Their starter got injured. They hit him on the knee when they stormed the court at Wake Forest because now they're doing it. It's funny because I understand Duke is one of the blue bloods, right? It's like North Carolina, Kentucky. Like they're the elite program in the history of basketball. Mm-hmm. But Wake Forest beat them. Wake Forest was actually favored to win the game. But still, stormed the court. He didn't have time to get off. They hit his knee. They had to help him off the court. Same thing happened to Caitlin.
I saw
Iowa.
That one. I feel like that was like a flop situation.
She got hurt. She got hit. I don't think this guy really got hurt.
She made it look worse than it was.
This guy got hurt, and they had to help him off the court. But now they're all talking about like, oh, this should never happen, and this should never be because in the NFL and in the NBA it never happens, because if it was happening in the NBA players would be swinging on fans running up.
Oh yeah, dude. What was the one with the Pacers? Who was it? Was it Ron Artest and somebody?
It was Ron Artest and somebody. But
like they went up into the crowd. They started swinging, throwing haymakers.
Well, that was
and
different.
Stuff. Oh yeah, no, I know, but still, like fans.
But they have one of Larry Bird. They were talking about one with Larry Bird when the Lakers finally beat the Celtics, and everybody rushed, and Larry Bird and I forgot who else was swinging on all the fans coming on the court. What's your take on it? Because you were part of that world and that excitement of beating your rivals or beating somebody who you weren't supposed to beat. So, did you ever storm the court?
No, I've never
or the field.
I've never stormed a court or a field.
Okay.
So I think this is a two-part question, a two-part answer, right?
Okay.
I don't think you do it. I'm not a big storm the court guy, because in the moment, especially in college. Okay, now see, this is where it's a two-part. You're in college, you've probably thrown back some cocktails or some beers,
that's what they were talking about today.
And dude, you're jacked up, so you win. You're in the moment. You're like, let's run on the field or whatever. So I get why they do it. Like at ASU and stuff, I don't think we ever upset anybody well enough while I was there to give us reason to storm the field. But I also think like the group of people are like, okay, cool, like whatever. But I do think like there are times like as a player, like I've been on football fields, I've been on not really baseball fields, but football fields like growing up in high school and stuff, like when like, and it's not really like a storm they feel like, but when like your friends like from school come on and they're like, hey, great job, that was awesome. And you're not talking about the masses like you are here.
Right.
But I think like as a player, it's kind of badass because you're kind of like, it's a sense of like, yeah, like I'm cool, like I'm big man on campus now. So I think that I think it's like a cool situation, but man, the way that people do it right now and the way that they storm, I don't want to say aggressively, but without any consideration of like, hey, who's stepping on Sue, who's going to get, and there's too many people. So like, I don't want to be the Debbie Downer on it, but it's like, all right, stay off the court. Like, let's celebrate, let's get pumped, but I do think there is a place for, I mean, like we just talked about in today's world, man, you never know. Like you could have a Wake Forest person come in there and just be all hot and bothered about something and start throwing kidney shots, banging on things. So it's like, I don't think they should be on the court. Stay off the court.
Stay off the court.
Stay off the court.
All
if
right.
you want to be on the court, try to make the team.
Who is it? Virginia or Virginia Tech that plays Enter the Sandman?
Oh, I don't know.
I think it's Tech.
All I know is all I hear is Enter the Sandman. I think of Mariano Rivera just coming in from the bullpen. They'll forever be linked together.
Okay, so whichever one, I don't remember which one it is off the top of my head, but someone was saying this morning on ESPN was like, hey, why don't you do something like that? It's like their fight song or some song that's get them hyped, but give enough time for these players to get off, especially visiting players.
I agree.
Give them time to get off and then storm the court.
There you go.
Or storm the field.
There's the great compromise, right? Like, yes, do it in a controlled manner. And I guess maybe that takes away some of the allure and excitement of it. But yeah, you gotta, in this day and age, there's just, especially a basketball court. I mean, what do you pack into those stadiums? 10, 15,000 maybe?
Yeah, close.
And then you've got, 30 basketball players. Like, dude, it gets gnarly in there fast. And now what? If this kid tore his ACL or MCL, I mean, you're talking not only about
he's
his
a starter,
season, but like
a team season.
You're talking about his future.
Right?
Is he? I don't know. Is he a lottery pick? Is he a first round guy, second round guy, or like that would suck to
lose it that way.
Yeah,
and not in the middle of the game.
So I think they just got to control it. But yeah. Listen, you're never gonna stop it. It's one of those things. It's kind of like marijuana, right? In Vegas and throughout the country, whatever, right? Not federally approved or legal, whatever, right? But you can do it recreationally here. Like, right. I think you get to the point where you're like, man, people are doing it, right?
And they're gonna do it anyways.
They're gonna do it. They're gonna find ways to do it. Why not just get on board and find a way to control it? Like, people are gonna storm the court. Streakers are gonna get taken on fields, right? Like, just have protocols in place to control it. Like, if you see that this is an upset coming, all right, like ding, 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 red alert, here it comes. This is a storm the court situation. Man the gates. Like, now just be prepared.
But now that you talk about streakers, you heard about the guy in Vegas.
What do you do now?
The streaker that ran across in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
That he bet
Yeah.
on himself because he knew there was 50 to 1 or 60 to 1. So he bet on himself. And
no, I didn't hear that.
Oh, no, he bet on himself. Because that was one of the prop bets was, will there be a streaker? So he bet. And then he streaked, and he won his own bet.
Wow. Okay. So now let's beg the question, like, right? Like, let's from a business perspective, right? Let's start running the numbers. Say, what did it cost him to get in? What did it cost him to get out of jail? And did the bet cover it? Because if it did, kudos to this guy.
Yeah.
Cheat code unlocked.
Well, it was. I think he said he spent $10,000 for the ticket.
Okay.
$10,000 to get out to pay the bail and the fees and stuff.
Right. So he's in the whole.
He's in $20,000, and he made 50 on the bet.
50, 50.
50.
So he's plus 30.
He's plus 30 on.
Okay. So now, did he have to spend a night in jail?
I think he spent one night in jail.
Okay.
At county jail. So it's not even like a.
It's not like a sharpen your toothbrush, get your shank out jail.
No.
Dang. I would not be a good jail guy. I don't think I would do well in jail. I'm just gonna put that out there. Like,
you'd be Will Ferrell in Get Hard.
Yeah, was that with what's his name?
Kevin
Hart.
Yep.
Yeah. I remember seeing that a long time ago. Yeah. I don't know what my jail strategy would be, but I don't think I would be good in jail because
I'm not gonna sit here and act like I would be good jail material. I wouldn't either.
I don't know, dude. I think like part of me is like, okay, yeah, like you go old school jail strategy you see in the movies, go punch the biggest guy, pick the biggest fight, take your whooping, maybe you get some street cred and move on. But
I don't want to do that.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure I'm ready for that.
No.
I don't know if I don't know, man.
I think I think my strategy. This is horrible. We're talking about this, but my
Hey,
only strategy.
You gotta be prepared.
My only strategy would figure out is how do I get locked down?
Just go to the hole.
Yeah, just live the whatever time I have in the hole. So I'm not around anybody. I don't eat at the same time with anybody else. I don't get to do anything with everybody else.
That's fair.
I'd go crazy,
It's a bold strategy, Cotton.
but I think that would be the only way I'd survive is to be by myself. It's like I forgot.
Scary to think about.
I forgot what movie it was, but every time they tried to get this guy out of the hole,
You punch the guard. Or
he'd
something?
punch the guard in the face and he'd get right back in.
So okay, so that begs the question though, like where it started is that. So let's say he spent 48 hours in the county lockup, or
Right,
whatever.
two days.
Is that worth 30 grand? Are you down to spend 48 hours in there overnight with God knows where they put you? But it's county jail. You probably haven't moved to a full blown jail yet. It's probably like what the detention center,
Right?
Or whatever, the holding tank. I don't know, whatever it's called. Are you down to spend 48 hours in there?
No,
For 38 grand, for 30 grand.
no.
And you missed what? When did he streak the field? How much of the Super Bowl did he miss?
Sunday. Oh, he missed the second half.
So you missed the second half. So you missed the best part of the Super Bowl, and you got to spend 48 hours in jail. Would you do it for 30 grand?
No,
What's your number? 50?
no.
You wouldn't spend 48 hours in the detention center for
I think it'd have to be 6 figures. Really? Yeah, have to be over 100 grand to spend 48 hours. I'm a football guy, so miss half the game, and end up. Yeah, it'd have to be at least 100 grand.
Really?
Now they'll probably take those prop bets out.
Dude, they've got to.
Because now anybody
controllable.
Yeah, because now the guy's gonna be like, oh, 100. Just imagine how many people bet it, and now they'll probably up the prop bet to how many streakers.
So here, this is even better. So what if you're his boys and you're like, hey, Craig's gonna streak the field. You're like, freaking dope, good for him. 20 grand on streaker, yes. So now you get the benefit of the streaker bet, but you don't have to spend the 48 hours in jail.
Oh, all day.
That's the guy.
All day.
So, okay. So if you're that guy now, do you got to chip in and be like, yeah, bro, like it cost you like 20 grand you were in as expenses. We're starting to look at this. We're starting to break down the streaker as a business P&L statement, right? He's into it for 20 grand.
Right.
Are his buddies now like angel investors? Like, do they need if he was there with 5 guys, him and 4 others, do these 4 guys, I mean, do they feel
5 grand a
obligated?
pop?
That's what I'm thinking.
I'm all in.
I'm thinking you got to go 5 grand a pop and help your boy out because
I'll be waiting for you outside of jail to give you 5 grand cash. If I'm making 30 grand off of you streaking and it's costing me 5 grand, so I'm literally taking home $25,000 because you wanted to be an idiot and jump on the field. Oh, I'll wait for you as soon as you get out. Here's your 5 grand, bro. Thanks.
it's a rough go. But if I do end up on the field, bro, I'm blowing out every ACL, MCL, pulling every. I'm giving it a go. I'm not just running straight and like.
Oh,
I'm
he ran
zigzagging.
straight? No,
I'm
he
running
ran.
button hooks, man.
He ran as soon as they
I'm
ran.
going World Tag Championship edition, dude. Like I'm like a rodeo, like trying to sit on the bull for 8 seconds. I'm gonna try to set the record for longest streaker on the field if I'm going.
My whole problem with that is I've seen too many, especially on football, where you get lit up by a linebacker, or a defensive lineman, or a tight end. These guys are huge, dude.
You gotta go big, dude.
Yeah. Do you want to be running and have like Joey Bosa on the other side?
Well, I don't want to be streaking the field
Bosa,
anyway. But
Bosa just jack you, or Kittle,
So now
or
you got,
Kelsey,
we got to go back to the P&L because now you're
or
minus
Chris
20
Jones.
on those,
Like it's one of these
probably
big
another
dudes.
50 grand on hospital fees.
Because these guys run fast and they're strong. You want to get hit by one of those?
No.
Or do you want to be the guy that ran on stage at the event and tried to jump Cam Newton this weekend?
I saw that, like at the 7-on-7 tournament or something like that.
Yeah.
What is with people? Why can't
And got lit up, and he got lit up by Cam.
Like, why can't we just go places and have a good time?
I don't know why you would. I mean, whether you like Cam or not, regardless, he's like 6'3" and 250, and he's been hitting. He was a running quarterback, and he was pretty good at what he did. And he's used to hitting linebackers that are 6'3", 6'5", 245, 270.
Yeah, it's never a good idea.
So do you want to go up against a guy like that?
I wouldn't want to go up against the backup of the backup that is on an NFL roster.
I wouldn't want to go with a practice squad player.
Yeah. Like I
Like,
remember
that's-
when we moved to Arizona and one of our neighbors he was a special team player. He was a punter. And I remember just even looking at him and I was just like, dude, you are big. Like you are tall, you are thick, and if we get in a fight, I want you on my side. And I'm like, I want no part of any of these guys.
Well, I remember I heard a story of somebody who was a broker in our office, and he's a pretty big guy. He's like 6'2", probably. He's a big guy, and he went to LSU, and he played football in Louisiana and grew up there. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna be a walk-on," and when he was trying to be a walk-on, the punter towered him, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm not playing here." Like I played quarterback in high school, and I thought I was pretty good. But when I got on the walk on, the guy's twice my size.
So in my senior year of high school, right? So I wasn't a big recruit for baseball or anything, but I played 3 sports. I played baseball, football, and soccer. And halfway through, I had to give up soccer because the season started to intertwine, right?
Right.
And so I still played them, and I was a good football player. You know, I wasn't big, but I was quick, good hands. I was a receiver, punt returner, that kind of stuff, right? And so when I'm finally going on a baseball visit, right, I'm with the coach. We're driving around campus on the golf court. I'll never remember that. He's like, so yeah, he's like, obviously we know you play both sports and this and that. You know, like, you know, what have you you're gonna try to play both here? And I was like, I don't know, I haven't really decided. You know, like, obviously I'm better at baseball at this point, and I'm thinking baseball's where I'm leaning, right? He goes, oh, I think the football team's out at practice. Like, you want to drive by and check out the facilities and stuff. And I was like, yeah, sure. Like, why not? I'm thinking like, oh man, this coach is being super nice, right?
He was scaring you off.
He knew exactly what he was doing. We roll up to football practice in the golf cart, and these guys are like in summer workout stuff, right? Like shorts, maybe some shoulder pads back then. I don't even know what it was, but I was just like, huh. He's like, yeah. He goes, this is some of the guys that are just looking at, you know, making the team or whatever. I'm just like, yes or no. I'll just play baseball when I get here. Like we'll be fine. Like I was just like, nope. So yeah, I couldn't even imagine, dude. I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
Okay.
Let's go. Last week we were talking about, you know, the team and values and systems and processes and, you know, really what our mission is to create value and create experiences and do what's right by the clients, not what we want to do and what's right for us and our bank accounts, right?
Right.
It's what's right for the clients in their life and stuff. And we started talking about not even a client. It was somebody you came across that turned into a client. You took the time to lay out a plan, a process, you know, a vision for them. And we said we were going to talk about it today because it's a really cool story.
So we were talking about this earlier, and
Okay.
you were making fun of me because of my hand gestures. Because I said every home has a story.
It wasn't your hand gesture. Okay, listen. The OGRE Network quarterly magazine is going to be coming out pretty soon. It's going to have some spotlights. We got some vendors in there, just a kind of an update on what's going on. And we're talking about the buying and selling homes. We want everything in there so people can see, you know, what's going on in the market, what we're up to, what kind of clients, you know, like price ranges we handle, homes we handle. And we started talking about what are we going to do, and we talked about a story to describe it. And you came off with the every home has a story.
I did not say it like that.
That's what it was like.
That's what you
Between
heard.
the hand gesture and the voice change, it was like, well, every home has a story.
You make me sound like the chef on Ratatouille. Everything you do.
I have witnesses.
Okay.
I have witnesses.
I think they're false. But anyways, so you're talking about Tony.
Yes.
So Tony's a server at our local Chili's. Amazing server, known her for
Baby back,
years.
baby back. Oh,
Yep.
come on, baby back. Okay.
And margaritas.
Margaritas. Okay.
Known her for years. So it's got to be about 3 years ago now. Or maybe 4 years ago now. We were sitting down, Mercy and I were having lunch, and she comes over. She knew we were in real estate,
Right.
and she knew that that's what we did because we had talked to her and we got to know her. We tell, you know, my kids say that I don't miss an opportunity to tell everybody, hey, I do real estate. Like I tell everybody I do real estate. So we were there, and she came up, and she's like, she broke down at our table when she was serving us. And I'm like, hey, what's wrong? She's like, you don't understand. They sold the place we were at. We're getting evicted. My son lives in the same complex. He's getting evicted too. And I'm like, oh, great. What do you need me to do for you? What can I do to help? She's like, we need a place to live. And I was like, okay. Well, how's your credit? She's like, horrible. Okay.
She's like, what's that?
Yeah. She's like, I'm like, how much money do you have? Because, there's creative ways.
Sure.
Maybe you don't have the credit, but you have the money to be able to pay 6 months or a year in advance. And credit's really not that important once you have that. I mean, we can work around and see what we can find to help you out. But she was like, no, I don't have a lot of money either. So I was like, okay. At that time, one of the listings I had been on the market for a little while. The owner was contemplating renting it because they weren't getting the offers at the price they wanted, because I think we were priced a little bit ahead of the market. And I said, well, let me see what I can do. And I spoke to the owner. I'm like, look, I have this client that I know personally. I'm going to try to help them fix their credit. I'm going to work with them to get them ready to buy a house in a year. I don't know if they'll buy yours, but if we can rent it to them for a year and they're used to the house, it'll be easier for us to sell them the house.
Right.
The client was like, okay, let's see. Never forget, I asked her to drive out to the house. The house is probably 30, 35 minutes from where she's at now. And she's like, oh, I could never drive this. This is way too far. I don't want to be in this house. This is horrible. I mean, the house was gorgeous for her. It was much bigger than what she ever thought she could get, but just the distance of traveling and stuff. And I was like, well, this is what I can help you with.
Right.
With no credit, no extra money. I'm pretty much putting my reputation on the line with the client, saying, hey, I'll make sure they pay the rent. If you have to evict them, then I'll help you do that. There's an eviction company I can refer you to, but I'll make sure they pay, because I don't want them to evict.
Right.
Plus, I'm fixing their credit. So my client was like, okay, I just need the security deposit and a rental, and then they were going to collect the rent. They didn't want to hire a property manager, which is all up to them. Sure. I personally prefer property managers, but if they didn't want to, that's up to them. Right. And we got her into the house. Fast forward, we started working on her credit through our credit repair business, OGRE Financial. We started doing all the financial steps to fix her credit, the negotiating with some stuff she had on there that she had to pay off. And to her credit, she was very good about following the advice and listening to us as we were going and saying, okay, this is what the next step should be. Her first step was opening a bank account,
right?
Because she didn't even have a bank account.
Well, and to your point there too is like, it sounds like in the stuff that times I've met her and what you're saying is a lot of times, you have a plan, you have this, but people are quick to deviate from it. Or they then, okay, well, I was talking to my friend, they said I should do this and this. She wasn't one of those. She was like, listen, jump, how high?
Exactly. And that's the way she was. She was straight. We would tell her, go do this. She was going to go pay something off, and she went to go pay it. And the person's like, oh, well, mail you a letter. And I'm like, nope, tell me you won't leave unless you get a letter.
Yeah.
Because if they can take your money, they can produce a letter. Even if you have to wait an hour for the letter. You will get the letter saying that it's been paid in full to remove it from your credit, so we can get it to the credit bureaus to get those removed. So fast forward a year of her living in this rental property, we were trying to establish the price on the house now, because the market has changed a little. We were trying to figure out. So what we did is we got her pre-approved for a loan. She listened enough to be able to get that. If I'm not mistaken, we put her through a down payment assistance program to help her with her down payment with Home as Possible. And once we did that, we did an appraisal. And I said, okay, that's the fairest way for the seller and the buyer both to get a fair market value.
Well,
right?
that's a good point, because I would imagine a lot of sellers, when you start to look at, rent to own, lease options, things are like, well, if it's worth $500,000 today, I don't want to do a lease option, because what's it going to be worth in a year from now? Is it going to be worth more? Is it going to be worth less? But of course, everybody thinks it's going to be worth more, and like, oh, it's worth $500 now, it'll be $1 million in a year,
in a year, exactly. So yeah, we agreed that was the best way to do it.
Yeah.
So we did the appraisal. Whatever the appraised value came back on is what they bought it. We went and they ended up closing on the house. It was funny because the day of closing, she was so happy because her husband had told her, when we move into this place, hey, guess what? We're not unpacking. We're not hanging anything on the walls. We're not doing anything until this house is ours. Right? So fast forward, it's been 3 years now, 4 years, and we went to go see her. That's when she was telling you, these people are the greatest. They helped us when nobody else would. And we were talking to her the other day, and she's like, yeah, her credits came from a 400 when she started with us to now she's in the 750s. And she's following and paying her bills off and making sure she continues to maintain her credit. And this is $750 even after adding $350,000 to your debt of buying a house. So she's been very methodical about paying stuff off. And she says it. I mean, anybody that will listen to her, she will say she referred us, because when everybody else that she knew being a server at Chili's turned their back on them and were like, hey, there's nothing we could do, we took the opportunity to help her and get her through the process. Again, a lot of it was her work of we're telling her, hey, you need to do this, and she didn't. She didn't complain about it. Sometimes
but you gave her the guidance on the path to follow.
Correct, because like I said, every home has a story. We do this, yes, okay, but everyone does. I mean,
100%.
You talk to somebody that said, hey, I want to invest.
Yeah.
You got them their first investment property.
Yeah.
Sight unseen.
Yeah, it's all very true.
And they came in Friday, and what did they tell you Friday?
We're buying another one.
That's what they're doing. Like, it's what we do when we take care of clients.
Well, you know, it's funny because I've been kind of posting a little bit about this lately and kind of been going in some tangents about it, is that I think a lot of people, and I'm sure we've all done it at one point. I'm sure I've done it at one point. I'm sure you've done it at some point in your life. You'd rather play the victim card because it's easier than I got to take responsibility and I can change this stuff, right? This lady, you know, Tony, she could have continued to play the victim card. I'll never do this. Why even try? Why this? I'll just bounce around from an apartment to apartment for the rest of my life. And she chose, hey, listen, I'm going to make a change. You know, she found somebody that was able to be creative with her and give her some opportunity to make a change. And she did, and she stuck to it. And, you know, like these clients right now, like they could have come out, oh, this is not what I want, blah, blah, blah. I got to change everything. Right? Like, no, we did the research. We put them in a spot to be, and they came out like, no, we love this. How do we get more? And I think, you know, we go through that in life. It's like when things don't go our way, you have options. You find yourself in the good old-fashioned choose your adventure books, right? It's like, go to page 68 to play the victim. Go to page 84 to create a success story. It's like we cross those roads throughout our lives, throughout our day. And it's like, man, it goes back to slowing down, understand the moment. What is fun? What is ethical? What's going to be the beneficial thing? And some of these agents that we've seen, the agents dropping off, you know, as the first of the years come, because they don't want to think that way. They want to think, as much as we even tried to help agents, right?
Yep.
We had somebody in a boot camp not too long ago, and you told me the other day, like, guess who's out of the industry already?
Yep.
Right? So it's like, it's not saying that we're perfect or we have the perfect way, but it's stop playing the victim card. Understand that you have to have a part in this too. And I had a conversation yesterday with some friends. Is like, I can paint you a picture of the market being a terrible market and just run like heck away from it. Or I can paint you a picture of like, no, we can set you up in an amazing spot if it makes sense for you. And I think now that real estate agents have to actually work, that's where you're seeing the fall off. And it's like, because they don't have systems, they don't have power partners. You go back to ours, the same old thing, like power partners. We have lenders that we have home inspectors. We got Fidelity. We know sometimes what working with Fidelity, sometimes we know if an owner has a lien on their house and they don't even know.
Right.
But it's like putting in the work. And it's like a lot of people want the paycheck without doing the work. Like, oh, real estate's hard. The market's terrible. I can't sell anything. When was the last time you did anything?
Right.
Right? I come in every morning and I got to listen to you tell me, hey, guess what I did this weekend? I sold another 10 houses or whatever, right? No, but all honesty, that's that competition that we have, and that's that fuel of the fire, right? It's like we don't quit for our clients. We continue to work for them, find new avenues for them. I mean, we'll have the best first quarter, me as an individual, you, your commercial, and together as the OGRE network. I mean, shoot, not that we're big board watching, number watcher people, but on the board out there, and there's nobody within 5 times. If you 5 times anybody's sales out there, they still wouldn't touch what we've done through the first month and a half of the year.
Right.
And we've still got 5 listings, 4 active buyers, a couple in escrow now. So it's like, it's all in the eye of the beholder.
And I think it all lands with the figuring out, right? Because a lot of agents just do a deal to do a deal, right? And let's just get the money. Let's just do a transaction. Let's do stuff. Where we think about what's the story? Like, what is it that you need? What is it that you have to make this a success for you?
Yep.
Whether it's the veteran that got denied by 3 other people. and we found a way to get them to a partner that could close them. Whether it's my commercial deal and had to figure out a strategic way to get the deal done. Whether it's looking for a flipper for a house that we weren't in a position to do, but they needed a quick sale. Whatever it is, it's finding the solutions versus just, hey, if you're ready to buy, you got good credit, you got money, then we can help you.
Well, and I think you nailed it too. It's like, and it goes back to that collecting data and listening. You got agents trying to put a square peg in a circle hole, and we're like, okay, well, this is obviously not going to work. Let's go find a circle peg. Like
Right.
As easy as that analogy is, but I think that's what you have seeing. And you just gotta adapt. You gotta be willing to have fun, listen to the clients, and figure out what their needs are.
Well, this should be a good week here in our office.
Oh, why? Do you know something that I don't know? Do we have a story to tell?
No, we don't have a story. We just have a lot of people going to family reunion, which is the Keller Williams convention, and we're not going. So it's going to be quiet.
Yeah.
There's not going to be a bunch of people here.
To each their own, and there's some opportunities out there too, but we're just continuing to grind and take care of the clients and build off that instead of
Going to a 4-day convention.
And I get it, man. You get into, you don't get me started on conventions. That's a whole nother topic. But I've been to going to business conventions for God knows how many years, and there's always about, if you're there for 4 days, there's about a half hour to an hour worth of good stuff. The rest of it is just hanging out, drinking, and carrying on.
Yeah.
That's a 4-day party. It's an excuse for you to go to a 4-day party. No, don't get me wrong. There's going to be some nuggets in there. I'm sure there's going to be a great keynote speaker and some this and that. But at the end of the day, you're there to take a 4-day excuse to party.
It's 4 days of just having a good time.
Yes.
And getting psyched. Because you need that adrenaline.
And that'll last for a week when they come back. This is like, we're talking New Year's resolutions here.
I was talking to somebody else, like you go to one of the classes and they start, you go one of they call them breakout sessions, but and they're talking about stuff. And I'm up against the wall usually because I get there late and I never get there early. And then you spend 2 hours listening to this person. And usually they're good speakers. They have value. But you're sitting there for 2 hours and you're looking around the room and you're like, 98% of these people are going to leave here and forget everything that was told to them. Or they're going to write it down and say, I'm going to do this, and end up doing nothing with it. There's 2% that actually use it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I'm going to be that 2%, and I'm standing in the corner versus sitting in a seat in the front row where I can actually hear better and ask questions and go through the process.
And why did I find that too? Half the stuff that keynote or that speaker or that panel is talking about, you've already written down a year or two ago anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like some of it's not new. It's just
Touche.
you. Like, just do it.
Touche. All right, buddy. Have a good week.
Yes, sir.
Get some stuff done.
Okay.
All right.